Hi, my name's Lynn Deasy, and I'm one of the volunteers at the Norfolk Food Pantry that's located in Norfolk at the chapel of the Congregational Church. And this is Linda Gerritsen, who is one of our, not only a nutritional counselor, but also one of our volunteers at the pantry. And who some of you might have remembered, but in the fall we started having community dinners in Norfolk. And part of that was to not only bring our community together and to share a meal and to share some recipes. And as you'll hear later on tonight, that Linda's recipes are good for us and lots of healthy things. So those were some of the things at the dinner that were made in front of you and shared. The food pantry, thanks to Linda and to other volunteers that we have, has been a challenge sometime in getting food that we can afford and also that is really healthy for us. And of course, Linda will tell me that healthy food is affordable, and we just need to learn how to do our shopping.
Rice and beans are the least expensive food you can eat and the healthiest. We fed 50 people for $110 at the first meal. Yeah, so that's kind of a little passion of mine. But we did it.
So rice and beans are not always some of our clients' favorite, but so really I'm here just to say thank you to the Norfolk community for your donations of food and personal items, your donation of money that then we can go out and shop. And also there are folks in the community who are shoppers for us, which is such a blessing. So thank you all for everything you do. We all know that as we go to the grocery store, the prices are just zooming. So the need is more apparent than ever. And our clients continue to thank us and come back every week. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's the best. I gotta give you a hug.
Okay,
Oh, she's gotta run off to a meeting.
bye.
Take care. Hi, I'm Linda Gerritsen, and I just want to thank the WIN committee for inviting me to do this cooking demo. I love food, I love to talk about food, and I love to cook healthy food. So that's why I'm here. A little bit about my story. 20 years ago I had a whole lot of things wrong with me, and Brett Hellerman, if any of you know Brett from town, got a hold of me one night and started talking to me about macrobiotics, and he at that point was in remission from his cancer for many years. And I woke up the next morning and I gave up meat, dairy, sugar, processed foods, everything in one day. And I didn't feel very good for about 3 months, and then all of a sudden I felt great. So that was the beginning of my journey, and that was about 20 years ago. And I've just continued to study and take courses and constantly learning, and I love sharing it. So here I am. We're doing a soup kitchen for WIN Saturday. We're handing out free soup, and part of that is because we haven't been able to have the community suppers because of COVID, so it was really great to be able to make some food again for the public. And then the soup is going to be takeout, and if anybody wants to make this burger stack that I'm going to do tonight, you've got a meal, or the burger stack can stand right on its own. So I will start with first the burger, and I made a little bit of this ahead of time. This is a black bean and sweet potato burger. My favorite sweet potatoes are the Japanese purple skin potatoes with white flesh, and I just cut it up and steamed it, peeled it first, and mashed it a little. So started with that, and then black beans right from the can with a little onion and garlic in here, and stirred that all up. So this is pretty simple. And just mix all this together. And, oh, here's what I forgot to do. I don't know if you know this trick, but flax seeds and water make something like eggs, and it holds things together. So I'm just gonna stir this in. And we have that. And then we have, actually, this is lime juice and the zest from a lime, which makes this pretty interesting in a burger. I like using a lot of citrus because it alkalinizes our systems, which need to be more alkaline. As humans tend to be a little more on the acidic side, and we like being alkaline. So I like using a lot of citrus. And I'm just going to mix that in a little. And then I put a little heat in this. And this is something you can adjust if you like really hot. You can add a little more, but this is, I do like 1.5 teaspoons of chili powder and 1 teaspoon of cumin. Cumin is a really wonderful spice. And that was the paprika actually, and then here's the chili powder. So that's pretty simple, and I'm going to mix all that up. I preheat the oven to 400. Actually, I lied, it's really 350. And these burgers will bake, so they don't have to be fried or don't have to use oil. One thing I will say about oil is it's very controversial, the use of it. Oils are highly refined foods. They are very high in calories, and they are very low in nutritional value, and they have a very short shelf life. We all like our oils, but the best thing is to use a small amount of oil when you need to. And I have been sauteing all kinds of vegetables and anything really in water or vegetable broth, and it works just fine. But 1 teaspoon of oil is plenty sometimes. And then the other thing I'm going to put in this is oat bran, but you can use oat flour or rice flour, anything like that. I've even used quinoa flakes, and that works pretty well. And let's see, and this is what the flaxseed eggs look like. So they're ready to go in. And the best way to make these patties is with your hands. So I'm going to do this, and you just bake on a piece of parchment paper like this. And here we go. So, I got this spoon. And this makes about 6 patties. So the thing about this recipe, I call it a stack, is you can make the burgers and have leftovers, and there are lots of things you can do with the leftovers. I've even made meatballs out of them, in spaghetti sauce. I've crumbled it up in red sauce, but they also freeze really well. So when we're always in a hurry and want a quick meal, having some frozen veggie burgers is a nice thing to have on hand. And they roll up pretty well. There you go. The first time I made these, they were much too wet. So I figured this out now that I'm using a little more of the oat bran. There we go. 200 degrees for 15 minutes, about 15 minutes per side. So there we go. Just do a couple more here. Of course, all the ingredients, beans are one of the healthiest foods we can eat. They're good for the planet. They take a lot of carbon out of the air. And they're wonderful, really heart-healthy foods. They're probably one of the best foods you can eat for your heart. Another thing I tell everybody is for good health, eat plants, but also to eat a diversity of plants. And this is a lecture on the microbiome. So the microbiome loves fiber, and all plants have fiber. There we go. So the more plants we eat, the better. But the other thing that's really interesting is that the microbes don't all like the same kind of food. So the more diverse amount of plants that we eat, the healthier we will be. And every time I go to the store, I try to find some vegetable that I've never had before, or some vegetable I haven't had in a long time, because the importance of keeping that microbiome happy is the greatest thing we can do for our immune system and all the other bodily functions. So diversity is a very, very important thing. And I was in a course last year, and we kept track of how many vegetables we ate in a week, and the goal was to do 60. So I encourage any of you who would like to try this to keep a list of all the different vegetables. Dried herbs don't count, but fresh herbs do, and see if you can get up to 60. If you can get more than 60, you get extra bonus points. So, all right, so those are the burgers. They're going in. So this is the what I call the smash, and all this is cauliflower cut up, turnip, and some yellow potatoes that have the skin on them. There are a lot of nutrients in the skins of foods, so we try to eat the skins of as many foods as possible. And I should have had a little bit bigger bowl here maybe, but the vegetables have a lot of water in them, and if the smash is a little too thick, just add a little soy milk. But I like to wait and see if it's going to be wet enough or not. I think this is going to be okay. It depends how you like your mash too. Some people like it smoother. I like it a little heavier side. So. And then of course, you want to put a little flavoring in this. You can make this smash too with a lot of other vegetables. It's fine to use, I've done it with rutabaga, all kinds of sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a little lower on the glycemic index. White potatoes are a little more higher glycemic. But this is good because it's mashed with the other vegetables, so it's not the same as just eating a white potato. Okay, that's good. Now, let's see what I did with, oh yeah, I got it right here. This little brewer's yeast. This is a vegetarian's dream when it comes to cheese. This has got a little cheesy flavor. I'm going to stir that in. And then I roasted some garlic. Just going to smash this up a little and put that in. And a little note about salt. the rule of thumb for using salt, good sea salt, this is that gray sea salt, is a pinch per cup. And that's about the same ratio as salt in our blood. So that's the rule for using salt. The other thing about salt is to try and use it in cooking and not at the table. Because when the salt is cooked into the food, it's much better for us. All right, so this is adding a little color to it. Yeah, and this is going to be fine without any milk in it. Okay, so there's the smash. Let's see, I'm going to put that over here. And the last thing I'm going to make is, let me get the arugula. I call this pucker up pesto because there's a lot of lemon in it. There's no oil in it. And it's got fresh greens. I'm going to make arugula with this one. I toasted the pine nuts just so they're golden brown. And be careful because they burn really easily, so they have to go in a pretty low heat. And this is the juice of 2 lemons plus the zest. I'll give it a spin. Here's the surprise. This is what's left over from zesting and squeezing the lemon. So I cut this up. This is where all the fiber is. And we know the microbiome loves fiber. So in that goes too. And it also cuts down on food waste. So all that makes me happy. And then the greens. And you can use kale or really almost any kind of green. Spinach is good. Different kinds of kale are good. But I'm using arugula for the bottom of the stack, so I thought this arugula pesto would work with this pretty well. And there we go. And pestos can be made with so many things. Now, I've been smelling the aroma from these roasted pine nuts all day. Okay, I think that's good. And that's about the consistency of it. So there we go. I did make some burgers ahead of time, so we didn't have to wait for those. Pesto will keep also in the refrigerator, and I just put a thin film of olive oil over the top of it, and it'll last longer that way, just in a glass jar with a tight lid. And the pesto is another thing that's pretty versatile because you can keep this for a little bit, and I use it to make pesto pasta. Sometimes I add broccoli or saute some mushrooms or onions and add that to the pasta with the broccoli or other vegetables. Broccoli rabe is great, but this is another good dish that you can get out of the same recipe. And the same thing with the smash. I've made this with taking a baking potato shell and stuffing that back in and then you can top it with various things, chopped scallions and things like that. So that's another meal right there, or a side for maybe a lentil meatloaf, or anything that you would have mashed potatoes with. So it's 3 basic ingredients that can be made into a lot of other meals. And I love it when people experiment. We need the recipes and something to start with, but I hope that everybody can sort of get creative with these and maybe get their own ideas about things that they would like to, change and try different vegetables and whatever. So I encourage everybody to do that. Okay, so now, finally, we will get to the stack. So we'll start with this on the bottom, and the next thing, and experiment with this too. You might have a different order, and there might be a lot of different things you want to try on this, but this is one meal right here that has a lot of diversity, a lot of different plants, a lot of nutrition. And these are burgers I made actually with chickpeas. So any bean of any kind is good for that, canned beans. And we're going to put a tomato on top. If I can find them, they're right here. Yep. A little avocado. Look at that. That's like a hole for the pesto. Sprouts. I don't know if anybody's making their own sprouts. I started doing this and it's wonderful. I usually have a jar of sprouts going most of the time, but extremely nutritious. And I just like to put these around. Whatever. And then we'll put this on the top. And there are all kinds of things you can put on these burgers. You could make just traditional mustard and sauerkraut even, and any other vegetables, cucumbers, pickles. There's a whole list on the recipe that will be on the website. So ta-da! There's your stack.
Looks delicious.
I hope so. Just have fun with it. Enjoy. And be healthy. So thank you all.